Guys, this is an episode of Car Rant that I did not want to film. So last episode you guys saw this engine. We had just got it in the mail. We had everything lined up. Things were good to go. And then we discovered something very particular. See, this right here is the brake assembly. The brakes would sit on either side. And when you pull the brakes, it would actually pull the calipers out so you could actually stop your brake hub. This whole assembly gets replaced with a shorter spline where that is here and none of the center shaft is in the way. So realistically, that's not a hard job. It's something you have to do anyway. If you get a new GY6, you have to convert it to short axle for the bikes, whatever. What we noticed and found out was that this hub is actually too small for our actual brake assembly. It's super disappointing, it's super upsetting, but it turns out this is not a 150cc motor at all. It's a GY6, but it's a 125, which means it is a smaller displacement. It wouldn't have had any of the power that we were looking for with the 150, and unfortunately it means that this motor I spent good money on is not even worth anything for our project. So because our engine was unfortunately not the right motor right here, we actually are going to reuse the old one, and we actually found out that there was only surface rust. We were able to clean it up, get it cleaned up nice. Everything inside of it is in great shape. We took the head off, the valves look fine, everything looks good. So we're actually going to use the old motor. We thought it was blown. Turns out it was being leaned out, and that's why it sounded like it had a bent valve going on. So because of that, our old motor's good to go. So we're unfortunately gonna have to flip this guy. I will say that we did pull off some pieces from this motor that we did want to use on our new one, specifically the stator. We actually went ahead, pulled that whole assembly off because the stator itself, even though it was the same size as the one that's on our old GY6, it didn't have a hacked to pieces wiring harness, or at least wiring for it, so we can actually use it. While it's incredibly frustrating to not have a nice clean new motor that's actually the right size, it does give us an opportunity to learn more about how these motors work, and more importantly, how the sizing varies between the different models of GY6. Didn't realize that there were other sizes. And for those of you who are vets watching this, you're probably like, oh, you're stupid, you should have known that. You have to realize this is my first ever single cylinder project. I kind of assumed that if it says it's a GY6 150, all GY6s were that way. Because if I say it's a 4G63 2-liter, all of them are that way. There is no other version. Otherwise, it's a 4G94 or a different motor delineation. I didn't realize the same engine name applied to other engines with different displacements. So that's just me learning how this bike game works, how the scooter game works. So yay, expensive lessons. So came outside. I've got the front end covered because there's some stuff that we did there that is for the next episode, and I'm actually reshooting this episode in case you weren't aware, because that's how we found out about this motor problem. As stated, it was literally just surface rust on the engine, so we went ahead and undid the damage that had been done, cleaned it up, made it nice. The head is in perfect shape, so we don't have to worry about anything there. We now have it mated to the frame, and the two halves of the frame attached. This is all painted with undercoat, so now it will not break, it will not be damaged by the rain. We can actually drive this and leave it outside again. This here will probably need to get cleaned up because, as you can tell, the previous owners definitely laid the bike down. We now have the strut reattached with our strut arm painted also in undercoat to help protect it from getting rusted, because it had a little bit of surface rust. Cleaned it up, good to go. Everything's set here. This frame is now nice and sturdy and holding on real tight. We've got the center brace all lined up. This took a bit of doing, but yeah, a little bit of mallet taps and figuring it out and getting it all lined up, and you're good to go. Starter, haven't fully wired. We're going to actually show you on the next episode how we're going to wire that together. The carburetor is in place. We just need to run the fuel line from our brand new diaphragm powered fuel pump. I wish we could build a bracket to make that look a little bit nicer, but for now that will work just fine. We now have a new fuel gauge meter thing. I don't remember how to describe it. The Met, it sits in there, brand new parts, looking fresh. The inside of this here fuel tank has actually been cleaned as well. The wiring harness has been started. Everything is plumbed up for the most part. We still have a little bit left to do. New CDI, got a new rectifier 7-pin for our new stator on the other side. Which, speaking of the stator, Magneto had the old one taken off so we can replace it. Things are looking good here. We have the lights pretty much set in. The stator is plugged in. Our fancy new exhaust looking fresh. Actually muffles quite a lot. I will figure out where the oil leak is coming from eventually, but for now I'm not too worried about it because we've got to power wash this later. Brakes are attached. Everything is set there. Like, we had made some good progress. Even bent back the foot pegs for the front. Like, you guys, the future for this bike, the future for the scooter is looking very good, and I'm very excited to finally be able to ride it. Like I said last episode, we have it underneath a brand new Prisma cover. Basically allows me to leave it outside and not worry about it. But more importantly, it's the exact dimensions for a stretch frame Ruckus like ours. I thought that was really cool that they made one specific to this application. Check it out on the Ruck store. They're not a sponsor. I just thought it would be really cool and handy for those who are in my boat who have one of these but have nothing to cover it with. So that kind of gets you up to speed as to what has happened. We did a lot of stuff on camera and then realized too late that we had been gypped. We'd been ripped off, and unfortunately it is what it is. Hopefully someone will buy this other motor, but if not, hey, it's not the end of the world. Things happen, and more importantly, we can move forward. We also went ahead and sprayed the battery box, and let me tell you, spraying it the color that the bike is already, like, this looks really good. The tuxedo look is being achieved with this battery box being this color. There are a couple nicks from it falling, but I'm not going to worry about it too much. I can pretty much repair that later on. But oh, the color is incredible and I love it. We also had a few other new parts arrive, like actual lug nuts. These are also new lug studs, but unfortunately these lug studs don't mate to our hub, so we're gonna have to get them either resized or just get new lug studs. Sorry, for our lug hub. There we go. I bought a new hub, but we may or may not be able to use this one. We'll find out very shortly on the next episode. But yeah, got parts. When parts don't fit, it's very like sad and discouraging because you just don't know what to do. You just don't know. But fear not, we are not giving up on anything. We are pressing on, pressing through it, because we know that the ultimate goal is to make this thing run and make it run well. And if that means we've got stumbling blocks along the way, it means that there's challenges that we need to beat, and more importantly, we're gonna beat them. All things in time, as I always say. We will get this Ruckus running, and we are so close. Literally most of the bike is wired back in. We need some more parts that are on back order right now, so we got some Eclipse videos for you. But yeah, we're not giving up. We're gonna get this bike running, and we're going to take it for a ride, take it to town, and get coffee, because that is something I've always loved and had a light fascination with. Having mainly French European heritage, like scooters, small cars, turbo cars, like stuff like that. I have a sentimental appreciation because some of my heritage is wrapped up in that, like Renaults and Citroens and whatnot. So for me to be able to have a scooter, which is a very common mode of transit in Europe, here in America, and taking it to get coffee, like, I don't know, it scratches an itch for me. Maybe it does for you. Let me know in the comments down below. But I wanted to get you guys up to speed on where the bike was at, and more importantly, to do your research more thoroughly than I did for this episode. Always, always, always do your research. Even when you think you've got it all down, double check your information, because otherwise you'd be like me and have a motor sitting in your bedroom because you got the wrong size. It is what it is. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Like and sub if you haven't already, and we'll see you on the next episode. God bless and peace.